glad as night. So the light from the sun would not burn me on my bum when I shoot the moon.
Hill's got it, driven into the ground with a pulverising tackle from Ambrose. Oh, I think the Bombers are going to go on with it here. Bombers and runs.
Baby, you been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. The grass is greener on that other side.
Welcome to the Windy Hill Windsock with me, The Solution, and joining me today is the correspondent.
Hello, bud. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very well, thank you. Got a nice cup of tea.
A cup of tea today, okay. It's a change of pace for you.
Thank you.
With us is vertical for the moment, but I'm sure she'll be horizontal later. Christina.
Evening, Solution. I'm actually semi-horizontal. I'm in a tent bed.
What's a tent bed?
I'm going to ask where you were.
Well, I'm visiting family, and I'm in my nephew is kicked out of his bed, and it's a bed with a tent frame thing over it.
Yeah. Let me guess, is your nephew 14, 15, spends a lot of time in the toilet alone?
No, he's only 8 or 9.
Okay, it's a bit young. Moving on then. With us is Joe.
G'day, Solution. G'day, everybody. Thanks for having me again.
No worries, mate. Welcome back. I saw a picture of you on one of your, maybe it's your Twitter, and you didn't have the goatee that you sport now.
Really?
Yeah. Have you had that for a while?
Yeah. You've definitely been scouring the internet for some reason there. But,
I thought it was maybe it was your Google that I invited you on. But this is before you had the face when you look like you put your face in chocolate mousse and come out with a goatee.
It wasn't Grindr?
It might have been.
Oh, no.
I swiped right.
No.
And with us, very special guest, very auspicious day, not just for one podcast member, but 2 podcast members. It's happy birthday to Jez. Happy birthday, brother.
Woohoo!
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for putting this podcast on just for my birthday.
Do you know anyone that makes cake?
Yeah. Was also a shout out to Windsock 2000, whose birthday is the same day. So happy birthday.
Is it true that he is 25?
In the past, I would have said he had 25 chins, but he's lost a bit of weight, the Windsock 2000. So maybe not. But yeah, mate, happy birthday. How much did you eat and drink for dinner?
Very modest. Very modest. I've been a bit unwell. Now that I'm old, I'm susceptible to a few little coughs and sniffles. So I've just been taking it easy.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm on the red cordial.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it really is a change of pace for our podcast. So here we are on the brink of World War III. We may do, in fact, we're going to do, obviously, the game prediction. We'll do a World War III prediction later in the podcast as well.
I thought that might be douche and datey, mate. You got a few nominations.
Well, we can forecast the ins and outs. Will Russia be in? Will China be in? Australia out? But anyway.
Out one supreme leader, in one crown prince. Who knows?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. In the Shah. But anyway, we lost. We're 13th. I could not be more positive about Essendon and our trajectory. I think we've unearthed another kid. I like Vicentini's game. I know he got beaten, on the day by a more experienced ruckman, but he looked good. I'm loving is it Blackiston in defence. Is that how you say it? He gives me Cale Hooker vibes, even in his awkward sort of. He's a little bit praying mantis-like with his long limbs. No way we would have drafted him, a 26-year-old, had we have not had the injuries that we've had. I think we've unearthed another one. Younger players looking good. And I just think, we'll talk about it, but another great weekend for securing next year's draft picks. Anyone not feeling positive? You're feeling positive? Go.
Mate,
I'm not going to be one of these. I'm not going to be one of these podcasts.
I think we're done.
Let me just say, I hate podcasts when they go, correspondent, what's your opinion? Now we'll move to, I just want this 5 of us chaos. So go.
I agree, mate. We're all happy. I think we're done. As in, we're Project 2026, 27, Project Tank, Archer May, add him in the mix.
Whoa. Love Archer May.
Good looking unit.
He gives me Stewie Cremeri vibes a little bit.
Oh.
No?
No.
No, he's not.
He was an athlete, dude. He was an
Cramery
athlete.
was too meek. I feel like Cramery was more meek than this guy. This guy, he's had Dermy teaching him. I feel like this guy likes a bit more of the rough and tough side of the game more than Cramery did, in my opinion.
I think you're being a bit unfair on Stu.
I was younger at the time, I guess, but I don't remember him. I remember Paddy Ambrose as the go-getter, happy to start fights. But I don't think Cramery had that sort of hard edge to him. But I would have loved to get the ball into May more. Like, gee, he looked so dangerous. Kicked his 2 goals. He looked really good. I was hoping we'd get the ball more to him, but we just those mids just refused to get the ball forward. It was ridiculous.
No, I think that'll happen in time when our foot skills gradually improve over the next 24 months.
Yeah.
I think once we get some tall defenders back, we can actually move Martin into the midfield and the forward line, and then we're going to get better delivery there. So I think it's just a case of where we're at the moment with injuries and just trying to salvage some sort of team until we get some troops back, and then we can start our assault.
Yeah, but I don't want
the rest of the season.
I was going to say quickly, I think that also plays to Merritt, who's obviously been playing down back, filling holes.
True, but I personally, birthday boy, I don't want an assault on 9th. I'd rather just play as many of the young players as we can. And I think the class of Dodoro, whichever year it is, they're the poor kicks. And the sooner we phase out some of those guys, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I had a slightly different reaction, I think, to the game. I turned it off before half time. I went to bed in disgust, and I was throwing my toys out of the cot. And it's my fault. It's all on me. Like, I was really keen. I was keen to sit down and watch some Thursday night footy. I was really surprised and heartened about how well the guys started. Like, that old chestnut, we came to play. I think we came to play. We really were in their face, and I got sucked in. I got a bit sucked in. I got sucked in by the prospect of an upset. And
silly boy.
I quickly became very frustrated and angry with a couple of our older players, not our young guys. I loved watching the young guys, like Archer May's first goal, fantastic. Cad's fantastic. Lual, I've already eaten 5 serves of humble pie on him. He was great again. But a couple of efforts from Gresham and from McGrath in the second quarter just had me tearing my hair out, and I thought, I'm not enjoying this, I'm going to bed. And they were, from McGrath's perspective, a couple of bad disposals that just put young kids under heat when he should be the one being the leader. So I turned it off and woke up the next morning, checked the score to see if there was some amazing comeback, and there wasn't. They obviously kept their oar in the water and had a crack. But I was really disappointed with how quickly a couple of our senior guys just dropped the ball in the second quarter.
Well, that was a good way to worm your way out of any award duties by saying you only watched the first half. So well done there. I was going to give you the Hanneman. I reckon.
I'm happy to give it to Gresham or McGrath.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But I also have a comment on the game about the coaching. At the end of it, like Vigo did that great tackle, and then Bolton was, doing hand signals to our players after he kicked a goal, just being annoying. And all of a sudden the team got riled up and we started fighting back and we kicked some goals and we had momentum going into the half. And then we come back in the third quarter and we're playing defensive football and we're kicking it backwards. And we did that for most of the quarter. Now, I feel like that has to be a directive from the coaches. And what it did, it took out the sting, out, like the energy out of the game for the players because they were on a high. And then they tried to be aggressive in the fourth quarter. Now, I don't know whether that decision was because Brad wanted to try and save them so that they could last the distance after a 5-day break, or trying to make sure that the score didn't blow out, or what the reasoning was. But I just felt it killed all the momentum that we had from the end of the second quarter leading into the third quarter. And we look better when we attack the ball, and all our players, especially young ones, get excited, like Caddy, when we're moving the ball, not when we're stagnant and kicking backwards. So that was a disappointment for me on what I think was a coaching directive, but I could be wrong.
I agree completely. And that's what I was saying in terms of the forwards, May, Caddy, heck, even Peter, they looked dangerous when the ball went forward to him and they had a one-on-one contest. We won half of them. Like 5 of the 10 one-on-one contests were won by our forwards. I don't think our forward line, when the ball was moved in, I thought it worked wonderfully with Lual playing more of a forward and applying that forward pressure. It just seemed to be a much better dynamic when we got the ball moving forward. And for us to only end the game with 34 inside 50s is really poor, I think, because how do you win a game? How do you win a game if you're going backwards so consistently? You have to kick a winning score. I get you want to try and defend, but and trying to play keepings off, I suppose. But 34 inside 50s for a game, it's what, 8.5 per quarter, So that's not a model for success, especially when Nate was looking like he was really switched on. Some of his kicks inside 50 were insane, hitting up Hacko perfectly. Lual was looking dynamic, as I mentioned. I felt like there was a real crack. There was a real chance that if we got the ball in there with more urgency, we could have kicked a better score on him to try and win the game. So it becomes a question of directive, as Christina was saying. What was the directive to not win almost? Like, I get we're embracing the tank, but you can't win by not moving the ball forward.
I think you're right. I think you're both right. Sorry, Solution, just quickly, that there seemed to have been the strategy of just try and stop massive damage, right?
Mm.
But Jez, what you did miss with respect to probably the most appalling 5 minutes of footy I've seen was when Archie Perkins came on. There is a guy that managed to completely murder 4 or 5 possessions when he came on as a sub.
I don't reckon
I
he was
looked
that
at the stats
bad.
I looked at the stats the next day, and I saw that. I don't know when did he come on? Did he come on in the third?
I think he came on. So he came on at half time when Dersma went off. Solution. If you watch the highlights back, there were not just the mark that he kind of squibbed out of, which I understand that, but his turnover of the footy 3 or 4 times when he first came on completely murdered us.
He led us for clangers.
Yeah.
Even though he hadn't played half a game.
Fair effort, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Brad spoke about him even they brought him up in the
post match, saying he's lacking confidence, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
I agree. I just feel like we're picking on, I'm just talking about this podcast maybe week after week we talk about him. I think we know where he is. I don't know. I want to focus on him again for another 5 minutes.
No, fair enough.
Just while we're talking about dictatorships in the Middle East. I do want to, correspondent, you can do the herd. And Jez, you were going to get the Henneman, but yeah, I think you've got the two there anyway. But you're off the. I'll give it to you, Christina. You do the Henneman
Okay.
in your TP.
Yeah.
I see you want some quick nominations, mate.
Yeah, go for it. Are we going to see your lovely face, or you're watching the cricket in your jock?
No. I think my internet connection's a bit shite, so I thought I'd do you all a favour. I think collectively nominations go to, as we've already mentioned, a bunch of the young kids who just did really well. But just to cut it short, mate, I would throw Caldwell and Archie Roberts into the mix.
Oh, Archie Roberts, what a beautiful footballer.
Yeah, I'm a bit biased to Archie as you are, mate. So we love the Bomber Thompson kind of. So I'd say it's a toss of a coin out of Caldwell and Archie Roberts. I just like his attack and his enforcer disposition in the back line. Anyone else got any thoughts?
You go, birthday boy.
After half time, I thought, I thought Vigo is worth a mention. He's not going to win it, but you've mentioned him already. But as a first game against a premiership ruckman, I was just amazed. He was so much better than I thought he was going to be. I also didn't mind the game of Jackson Pryor. I think he had Voss for most of the time, and I thought he did okay. He competed really hard. He went at 100% disposal, and he got a bit of it. So I thought those two were okay. They're not winners, but I thought they were quite, well above positive.
Yeah, Pryor, mate. I think Pryor's actually been getting a little better each week, which is good.
He pantsed Voss, and I need to kind of apologise to Scott really, because even though I'm not a big VFL watcher, last year I was just like, why don't you give Voss a game? Just give him a go. And clearly he's got a no dickheads policy, because I can tell you Patrick Voss is a dickhead. I have no problem with your contrived celebration. We always knew you were going to do that, or we thought you would do that. I know apparently you're the only player ever to be delisted in the AFL by a team, so that makes it a very sad scenario. But when you've been pantsed all game and you're miles ahead, you don't then, when you get your one little goal, your 5% of game time where you actually looked okay, you then carry on like you've won the flag and won the flag for Fremantle on the last kick of the day. It was embarrassing. So you are a dickhead. Yeah. And there's a very early douche nomination. You'll struggle to beat that later in the podcast.
I think Archer May had better. I think Archer May had better disposals and than what he did. So
kicked 2 goals to Voss's 1, and he had 14 disposals to Voss's 13. So why are we're not missing you at all, mate? Just calm it down.
I was going to say, Joe or Christina, have you got anyone you want to nominate?
I thought Caddy should worthwhile. He's running down the wing, and delivery and his mark as well. I think he just gives us something extra. And there's other, he's had one of our top meters gained as well. It's like his speed. There's very few defenders that could keep up with him and do what he does.
Sure. I've had a number of non-Essendon people speak to me and say, Essendon shit, blah, blah, blah. But fuck Nate Caddy. I would love to have him on our list. I think the footy world are taking notice.
Oh,
They have, yeah.
for sure. And I want to give a shout out to Setters. I feel like this guy died 3 separate times on the night, but
Yes.
just continued to get back up again with the white war paint on the face. You know, when he got up off the ground again for one, he's just, every time I looked up, the guy was either borderline concussed or half left for dead on the side of the road, on the road to Jericho. Like, it was insane, but he played out the whole game. What a superstar.
Yeah, he's actually been good again the last few weeks. And I actually thought a year or so ago, I thought he was gone. Absolutely. So I don't know what he's done, but he's certainly back playing some really, really consistent footy. He's at that bigger bodied midfield, kind of that run with. But yeah, he's done quite well.
Maybe that's the key. He knows what his role is. It's a very defined, specific role, and he plays it really well.
Yeah, that's probably right. So, mate, that said, I'm giving it to Archie.
Love it. Love it.
Has he won one already this year?
I've actually got a song brewing about him, but I didn't get a chance to record it. But that'll be next week.
I have this feeling that maybe me, gave him a Henneman a few weeks ago.
I
And
think
so
you might
it's
have.
It was me, I think, actually, and you agreed with me.
Yeah, right. But so yeah, good on him. Fantastic. It's great to see.
We knew he would bounce back. He's obviously good Archie for a reason.
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of bad,
Mhm.
go Christina.
Okay. So I'm going to put Laverty in as a nom, mainly because he loves a kick backwards, and he loves to put his teammates under pressure where he doesn't need to, and I know that's just him. It's what he does, but it drives me nuts.
Well, he's just playing he's just slotting in with Ben Mackay's role.
Oh, yeah, it's true. But someone I think that did have a very quiet night was Guelphy. He didn't do much on the stats. He might have done a bit of follow with, but defensively. But yeah, he really didn't do a lot compared to past games where he's been quite impactful.
No, that's probably
Okay.
fair. 7 possessions, only 73 metres gained. We all know, as we said last week, it's about metres gained.
Yeah. So
Was it Snelling who had a negative metres gain?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, it
That's
was.
right.
I think you've already mentioned both Gresham and the Prince of Perth. Gee, it's a struggle with both of those guys in the forward line.
Well, that's the thing. That was his first half. He was saving himself for his second half in the. I don't know what's the local Perth night spot.
Don't
they
know.
probably Fremantle.
Somewhere in Freo, you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I would happy to take other noms.
Well, Andy McGrath was mentioned, and Andy McGrath's problem is where he plays on the ground. So he did some great things on Thursday night, but where he plays, when he makes an error, it's magnified by the fact that normally results in a turnover.
Mm.
And he did it a number of times, and for a vice captain and a guy who's been around for so long, I don't know, where do you put him? It's not like you can put him up forward. You can't put him on the ball.
no. Well, mate, as you're saying, he does it. He does it every week. He runs too far, looks up, turns the ball over, and you're right. Where else can you play?
Yeah, I'm a little bit over him, to be honest. It's the same old, same old. He's not a footballer. He's an
Correct.
athlete. He's a runner.
Yep.
So
He's an athlete and a runner with a great ATAR.
yes,
He's
But
a hurdler. He's actually a hurdler.
a hurdler, there you go.
hurdler.
Isn't he also the man that sent Jez to bed? Isn't that what sent you off to bed? People can't see you nodding, mate. They're listening.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think the exact quote I don't think is mentionable. but I did put it up on the group chat. It was something like, fuck Andy McGrath.
I'm going to bed.
I'm going off to bed.
So what if we offload him? We'd get what? We'd get a second round pick at best.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it.
Oh, mate, I don't think we'd get more than second round.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe a different position. Maybe on a wing. He's a runner. He can run fast. He can potentially break lines, and maybe we can try him on a wing. And rather than having Martin on a wing, maybe we can play Martin on ball, potentially. Or rather than having Merritt on the wing like he was at times in that game, I'd rather have McGrath, because for every good defensive effort that he has, and there are quite a few, right? He's good at that specifically and exclusively. But as soon as the ball's in his hands, things start to get really bad. So why not just simply have him on a wing where he can just use his legs, try and take his direct opponent on. There's less congestion on a wing. And then he can just sink his boot into it high and long, because we've got a couple of guys now there in the forward line that can clunker mark in Caddy and May. So
The ultimate chaos ball merchant.
which could help Kako out as well, and the Prince of Perth. Who knows? But I'm sort of over him in the back line, coughing up goals left and right, personally.
Well, guys who are over in the forward line, you mentioned him, Jez, at the start, Gresham. But, like, why are we persevering? Given everything we've said, given the trajectory of the club, given the fact that we're playing for 2026 and 2027 and beyond, surely Gresham's not in those plans, and I do not see the point in playing him to
Well, who have we got to replace him?
anyone.
As in McGrath in the back line, you just put Zach Johnson down there.
No, we're talking Gresham.
Gresham now.
Yeah.
Gresham, he can be replaced by anybody in the entire list.
Who's the new guy kicking goals in the VFL?
Yeah, McMahon, 5 goals on the weekend.
Yeah, just fucking play him.
That would be very tall forward. Very tall forward.
Yeah, well, that's what we need. We need like some pressure, small forwards.
Well, Gresham's neither pressuring nor is he forwarding. He is small.
He's small.
He's smalling.
Yeah.
But honestly, he uses mongrels all the time. Just mongrel kicks forward. And he blew so many opportunities. And it was up to Lual and Kako to clean up his mess time and time again, trying to get the ball forward. It was insane.
And they did it quite well. Can I? Sorry. Who's won it, Christina?
I give it to Gresham. Oh, yeah, I'll give it to Gresham.
Yeah, I think you had to.
Swayed. Okay.
I've got to give it to Grolfy because just so quiet. So anyway, but no Gresham.
Okay, Gresham.
It's another one of those great conundrums of the Henneman. Do you give it to someone who doesn't do anything, or do you give it to someone who does things, but just horrendously badly?
Yeah.
Well, philosophers have pondered this for many, many years.
This is right. And if we go by the most important stat, which isn't like the scoreboard, it's actually metres gained. It's very, very. You look at Snelling, and his negative was far worse than the guy that gets 0 metres gained. So I think therein lies the answer. It's the guy who has a net negative effect. It's your net score, really. Your net effect on the game. That's most important. I think Gresham's he like sucks the life out of the team.
Yeah.
With some of his shit play. It's just like, oh God, you can feel the groans of the players on the field. Now, we're going to get to Jez's stats in a moment. This new segment we have, and I assume you have some, Jez. If not, you've got about 30 seconds to find one. Just one thing that was not spoken about enough on the weekend. Loved Lual's game, by the way, in the forward line. He actually scored a chip. He chipped the keeper with that soccer goal. It's one thing to soccer the ball through. I've seen it many, many times. There was a guy in front of him, I think on the ground, or near the ground. It was like Eric Cantona for Manchester United chipping the goalkeeper. It was a Panenka. And I haven't seen a replay of it. I haven't seen it spoken about anywhere. But I
Did he do a karate kick into the crowd afterwards or anything?
I didn't see that. Maybe he did that.
Maybe that's why we're not seeing anything, because they said, "Oh, hang on, that's not good."
No, he didn't talk anything about seagulls either, or whatever it was that Cantona did on that weird rant.
Right.
But yeah, very underrated goal. Should have been spoken about a lot more. And he's a guy I'd rather see in the forward line than Gresh, as an example.
Yeah.
Bring back Davey. Far out. Anybody ahead of Gresh at this point.
I think we've learnt with Scott. I think you get your card marked. And I think Voss had his card marked. I think Sardis has his card marked.
Yep.
And I suspect Davey has too. And I am only speculating. This is not informed at all, but I wonder if you're not rock solid off the field, if you're not doing everything right on the track, doesn't matter what your talent supposedly is, Scott isn't going to play you, and I wonder whether Davey's in that boat.
I think it's also on that. I think also Brad likes players that are also versatile and can play or are willing to play in multiple positions. Because if you look at all those players that can't get in, they're all very one-dimensional. And like Sardis has to be in the midfield. He has to be getting the ball in and under, like that's it. We can't, even Darcy Parish was originally like that, but he played a lot of time under John Worsfold in the forward half and forward to actually learn that role. So he's got a little bit more flexibility. But I think he wants, and Dylan Shill, he tried them down back. That didn't work.
Yeah, but the counter argument to that, though, is every time Davies played, he's kind of roamed in the same areas Kako's roamed.
Yeah.
He's either been in the forward line or come up the ground, and he just hasn't done enough, I suspect. But I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you're right, Christina.
I feel like he would do better if he has Kako on the field and they're both doing their job as opposed to him and Gresh. Because I don't think Gresh does anything to help out his other small forward. It just feels like there's no real tic-tac sort of, Barcelona connection there between him and the other guy. He's a very self-centered player, I feel. And he'll take a mark. He'll take a mark 49 metres out. No, he can't kick it. And then he has to play on by going sideways. And, of course, he inevitably misses it as well. So I'm not sure if it's a different combination of the smalls, it might click better. But, maybe
it's not Barcelona, it's Stoke. That's what it is. All right. Any other thoughts on the game before we get to the highly anticipated Jez stats?
Nope.
They talked a lot about Freo's 5-day break, but they didn't mention the fact that we also had a 5-day break, travelling across the country with an injury list as long as the Flemington Straight. Like, piss off, media, seriously.
They also talked about, Freo's finals credentials and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, you're hardly playing a side that's a benchmark for.
Yeah, well, who were the commentators though? Like,
man, who knows? But it was an hour of just.
It was Perth-based, Perth-biased commentary. So
probably what's his name? That ex Eagles guy that I can't stand anyway.
Oh, Schofield.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's one of the few guys that doesn't have a coke habit from that team. So
it's true.
Yeah, they can get him on, I guess. All right, Jess, what do you got for us?
Okay, so today's focus is on pressure acts. We had Kako led the field, so the entire ground, both teams had 27. Vigo fourth on the entire field with 23. Now, I just think that's fantastic that it's our young guys, Vigo in particular, who are putting their shoulder to the wheel and getting their hands dirty and really, you can't ask for more from young guys like that to be leading the ground for both clubs on pressure acts. So there's my stat for this week.
Normally, I think your stats are horseshit, but I think this one does tell a tale. Young guys leading from the front. in that regard is a wonderful sign.
Yeah.
Just on Luke Jackson, Vigo's opponent, has there ever been an uglier footballer? Like, he does look like Joe Danaher's uglier brother. And Joe Danaher's a Danaher. There's no oil paintings in that family.
Can I put John Ironmonger in the conversation?
Yeah, I think he's up there.
Yeah, John Ironmonger, true. Face that only a mother could love.
Cameron Lean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just looks like a Burns victim. But Luke Jackson, some guys shouldn't have a mustache because it definitely accentuates that bulldog chewing a wasp kind of face that he's got. He's just horrible. Anyway,
Ollie Wines had a square head.
What about and the lizard from the Swans?
Oh yeah.
He's very
Blakey.
True.
He'd be slaying the ladies at Bondi.
Anything else on the game before we move on? All right. Wonderful, wonderful weekend for Draft Watch.
Woohoo!
Mate, it was a wonderful weekend for one or two other reasons. We know that.
Well, so they're linked, I guess. Well, no, Carlton losing doesn't really affect us, does it?
No, but I just think...
No. Oh, sorry. Just before I say something stupid. North Melbourne winning, I mean, if they can continue that form, there's a position that we could fall down to, or somebody that can leapfrog us. Let's talk about Carlton Kangaroos.
Was everyone, every non-partial neutral supporter, was everyone taking a healthy passing interest in the footy yesterday afternoon?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say on Blue Abroad afterwards.
Well, I did notice.
Was it true that you, Solution, were the first person logged on and waiting for Blue Abroad?
I was doing a few things yesterday. I was saying in the chat. Oh no, not our chat. In another chat. I was pottering yesterday. I cleaned the fireplace. Then I've got some olives from the olive tree in the backyard that I've been water curing, but now I'm going to put them in brine. So I did that. There was a few little things, and I just had Blue Abroad on in the background, and it was just wonderful. It's just like
3 hours and 50 minutes.
Well, yeah, I didn't quite last the 3 hours 50 minutes, and I'm sure Terry was at the cashboard register. Going at the time. Yeah, exactly. But shout out to those guys. It is like, again, we're repeating ourselves, but we're going up and they're going down, and we're sort of waving to each other. I can't think of a worse situation where you have these star players, you have a trajectory which you think is going to take you to a grand final in a premiership, and then suddenly it dawns on you that your list isn't good enough and you've got 0 draft hands. It's awful for Carlton. Isn't it wonderful for us?
Yep.
I tipped North. I could see the writing on the wall.
I think a lot of people did. As soon as they saw that, Walsh was out and maybe Curnow and whatever, everybody was like, "Oh, hang on, there's a chance here."
Kitsune was named. You could tell. And we spoke about this after our loss to them. Who would you rather be, us or them? Oh, clear as day. Clear as day. If people weren't sure back then and were calling us footy nuffs, Essendon nuffs, who are clearly biased, I think you ask anyone in the AFL right now, 2 weeks from that initial question, and they'll see, yeah, you've got a point. This team has to be blown up. And what a terrible time to reach that realization that you've got no draft hand and that you have to rebuild almost right on the dawn of Tasmania. If they come through and they suck up all of those draft picks, good luck good luck trying to get a rebuild happening anytime soon. And that's why the powers that be at Essendon were so quick to turn over people, because we could see the danger of, if we take too long to rip the Band-Aid off, that the rebuild will become infinitely harder with Tassie in the mix. So we've timed it right, and we've got some next-gen academies. We've got the father-sons, with Buick. So we've timed it perfectly. But Carlton, it's only just begun.
It's only just begun.
But the thing is, we just need them to have a few wins here and there so Voss keeps his job.
Yeah, true.
Just to give them enough hope.
I don't think they'll sack. Jez, you're a Carlton watcher. I don't think they'll sack him before his contract ends, will they?
It's a very Carlton thing to do, isn't it? But I don't think they will. But they're in deep, dire problem, because they're 2 games and a lot of percentage outside the 8. Next week they play Port in Port, and that's like an elimination final for both those clubs. And then the week after, Carlton plays Collingwood on the Friday night. So it could be.
And then they play Brisbane.
Final rights, and then Brisbane is cremation time. So that could be it for them.
And interestingly enough, as you guys know, we play them in the final round, barring the 2 games we play against the Suns in about 3 days. So,
That famous game in hand.
that's right.
Speaking of Brisbane, did anyone? Oh, sorry, you go.
No, so I was going to say, Jez, I don't disagree with you around Voss, but he's contracted to end of next season. They're going to have to decide what they're going to do either at the end of this year or obviously early next year about extending his contract, right? So I think there is still a chance that he goes year end.
Well, I heard on the radio they've sacked 6 coaches this century, and someone listed them. And so that's their form.
It's their modus.
Yeah, it would be their thing to do. But
they're like the Tottenham. They're like the Tottenham Hotspurs of the.
Well, apparently, they're they're obviously talking to Longmire. People are kind of pushing Hinkley, but I would have thought Longmire's a good chance.
There's a few ex-coaches out there. There's obviously Adam Simpson, the ex-West Coast, Longmire, Hinkley's going to be out the door. Obviously, there's Nathan Buckley as well, potentially, because I've heard some reports that he's been spoken to by Tassie to potentially go for Tassie. So there's a few ex-coaches out there up for grabs. So it's not like they're necessarily spoiled for choice, but
Malthouse,
they will have to start.
Yeah, Malthouse.
Yeah, you could make a comeback.
Rutten.
Pagan.
There's Hurdy as well.
Who was the other guy that had Teague? Who am I missing?
Ratton, yeah. Teague, Ratton,
Britton.
Wayne Britton.
Wayne Britton, yeah.
Bolton.
Bolton. Yeah, Bolton.
Yeah. All pretty shit. Anything else on the other games before we move on?
It was
Geelong losing.
Yeah, that was mildly enjoyable watching Brisbane piss on Danger's party.
Yep.
Yes.
It was so funny. I think with all the white shirts in the crowd, I think the players misunderstood them and thought they were white flags. So the waving the white flag right from the start, that was incredible to watch. And that's why Brisbane was such an enigma. Like, this is what they're capable of, but they just weren't showing it. But wow, what a statement win. That was amazing.
But it's just funny how matchups work. Like, for some reason, Carlton beat Geelong every year. Like, it's just weird how sometimes these things work. But yeah, it was amusing. Anything else before we move on? Nope, good.
Saints lost. That's good for our pick, yeah.
Saints lost.
Saints
lost. True.
So it's Collingwood. So we've got their second round pick. So that's a benefit for us as well.
Yeah, good point. They looked all right too until the umpires intervened.
As always.
In the third quarter.
Yes.
And Collingwood, fair play to them too, because they did have to travel.
Marble.
Yeah, exactly. All right. My nomination for douche of the week is it's not Donald Trump, it's Patrick Voss. I think he's a bigger douche. Does anyone have any douches or deities they wish to?
Yeah, his teammate. He's a bigger douche. His teammate Shea Bolton, trying to get into Archie Roberts and starting fights and stuff, mate. Like Freo and Freo in general. I thought Freo in general were very cocky, very arrogant, very smug against a VFL side. And to my mind, it baffled me. What have you done? What have you achieved to warrant such an attitude? So, yeah, I want to give it to Freo as a whole in general.
And it kind of backfired too because he couldn't do anything right after that. Shy Bolton.
Yeah, went to shit.
I'm not sure if anyone. My sister asked Charlie Dons to put a highlight package of all the stuff ups that Shy Bolton did after he antagonised our players, and it was like 5 or 6 things he just stuffed up through the whole game. It was quite hilarious.
Oh, shout out to Charlie Dons, the GOAT. I'll have to get onto that. No, good nomination. Anything else?
Oh, just just leaders in politics, male leaders in politics.
Yeah.
Who just wanna, I'm bored. Let's just go fire on a country. Why not? And I'm talking about multiple leaders.
Well, funnily enough, one of those orange-looking people in particular recently received a public endorsement from the country from Pakistan. The government of Pakistan officially nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
I saw that for preventing the war between India and Pakistan, even though India said he had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
Hey, Maggie, by the way, just a point of order. Maggie Thatcher was a warmonger. She was allegedly female.
Yeah, but
true.
at the moment, I'm not saying in the past, I'm saying presently.
Yeah, you might have a point.
I've got a deity. The deity.
Go.
Kevin Sheedy.
Oh, what's he done?
He clearly had a couple of reds before doing this, but there was a president's function, and Dermot Brereton was in attendance, and he bestowed upon him the Essendon beanie, and then went along and wrapped him up in his Essendon scarf, and then gave him a kiss.
Love it. I missed that completely. I'll
find the link and put it in the chat. But when I saw it, I pissed myself laughing. That was amazing.
Gotta love sheets.
Well, now that he's officially not involved, he's much easier. He's much easier to love again.
That's correct. Very good point. All right, now we've got to buy. Thank God, next week.
We're a big chance.
But we will project forward to the Suns, and I'm not going to bother going through who might come in, and there could be a bunch of. Oh, Jez, you have a point.
I do for next week. It is a vibe, but there's some two very important draft pick watch games.
Okay.
Gold Coast against Melbourne. You would think Gold Coast will do the job there, which is good.
Come on, Gold Coast.
And the Port versus Carlton game is an important one from draft pick watch because they're both on the same points as us. One of them will obviously win and move a game ahead of us. So let's hope it's Port.
Yeah,
particularly that Melbourne game. I've never watched Melbourne as closely as I have this year. Again, it's too far ahead. I mean, who knows? We could have 10
But it's
players.
worth mentioning, mate, it is for the game against the Suns on Saturday week. It's at the traditional time of 12:30.
No, is it?
Yeah.
Yes. 12:35.
So what do we do? Do we get on the
You'll
sauce?
still be in the sauna.
I might come
You'll still be in the sauna solution.
Might come
Yeah, well,
straight.
Jez, I'm going to meet Jez at the pub at 11.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I'll be home by 3 o'clock.
The brunch game. Yeah, I know. What are you going to have to? You have to talk to your family or something.
That's right.
Awful.
No, just
right.
go to the Bowls Club. Keep going.
Yeah, that's true.
Shout out Thornbury Bowls. All right, let's go around the grounds. Correspondent.
What, the Suns game?
What's prediction? Yeah.
Oh, mate, we'll lose by 30.
Joe.
We'll lose by 17.
Jez.
We'll win by 7 points.
Ooh.
On the back of what? Are we going to have some experienced players come in? Is this the theory?
No, just the last chance to keep Project Top 4 alive.
You fucking idiot. Seriously.
Sun doesn't shine inside the roof.
Yeah. You have been sick and it's fried your brain. Christina. Finally, of course, by the way, horizontal now, as expected.
Oh yeah, but I'm loving this light. It's actually really enhancing my
mood lighting.
Yeah, it's a
making
good
your
glow.
cheekbones high.
Yeah, natural glow.
I wouldn't want to. Oh no, forget that. I forgot he's 8 or 9. Move on.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the blue light. Go. What were you going to say?
I'm actually going to agree with Jez. I think we're going to win by 13 points.
Why would you think that?
Because we'll have some players back. Everyone's had a bit of a rest. Gold Coast have actually been in a flat patch. They've actually lost a few.
Yeah, played all right today.
But I think back at Etihad, I think we're chance of getting up.
And it is the prelude, I guess, to our game in hand, which is going to catapult us up the ladder into 8th, as you said at the start of the year, Christina.
Well, I mean, don't forget the following week we've got Geelong.
Oh, already?
At the Cattery.
Oh, fuck off, at the Cattery?
Yeah. So let's enjoy the Gold Coast Sun game.
Can you name me... Actually, I was talking to a mate who said to me that apparently... How many games has Pendlebury played?
455,000.
And he's played at less venues than...
Yes.
I think there was a guy who's played 20 games from the Gold Coast or something like that.
Some random second or third year player. Yeah.
At the Giants. Has played at more venues than Bengals.
Yeah, Collingwood go nowhere and we have to go down the Cattery.
Yeah.
All for Project Tank, I guess. That'll be painful.
Yeah, well, as Scotty Lucas said when he was asked about the Cattery at some point, he sheepishly said that I've never played there either.
Yeah, because we were good back then. They didn't send us to that.
That's right. We couldn't play at small grounds. No.
All right. Anything else before we go?
Nope.
How many rounds to go are there?
It's a good question. How many rounds are there?
The
24.
Answer's probably too many.
Look, I've said this before. We play Carlton in the last round, and then we're going to have to front up to the Gold Coast.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to podcast again.
We play Carlton in the last round. Then we have to go to Queensland to play the Gold Coast.
Do we have the Windsock end of year trip and just go straight up there? Yeah? There's a thought.
They should take us on the plane with them. Because we'll be just as checked out as they are.
Yeah, good point.
If you haven't, we've played the 11 or 12 debutants. If you're on the senior list and have not yet played a game, and you don't play that game, I think your papers are stamped, right?
Yes, yeah. By then we'll have played. How many players are on a list?
38, maybe.
38. Yeah, there'll be 37 players that have played instead of starters by that time.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I'll pull up a song from the archives. Check out Something About Cake, our sponsor. Thanks to everyone that listened. And we're going to have the bye, thank Christ, a week off. And we'll see you for the loss against Gold Coast.
Go Dons.
Yay!
Go Bombers.
Go Bombers.
Karma Dons.
happened early in the first few rounds. Losing by 20 points, then what have we found? He was a black head coach with a big moon face. At quarter time, he ran down the race. Went to the players, Menzie and Weed. And what I saw, I just couldn't believe. He was holding the clipboard way up high. And to my shock, the magnets did slide. And then I realized we've got a coach who makes moves. Doesn't sit around waiting to win or lose. We've got a coach who makes moves. But we still kick long to Snelling. Oh yeah, we kick long to Snelling. I woke last night to the sound of thunder. I was dreaming about earlier seasons and then I wondered. Thinking about Truck back in 2022. He never, ever made a move. But now we got a coach who makes moves. Doesn't sit around waiting to win or lose. We got a coach who makes moves. But we still kick long to Snelling. Oh yeah, we kick long to Snelling.